My name is França. I am a multidisciplinary artist, primarily a painter. Have been painting for many years, mostly focused on oils recently, but there's not a lot that I haven't touched. And part of that's because my mom was a high school art teacher, so I always had a lot of supplies available to me in the summers when she'd bring stuff home. I think for me, art, as much as it, sometimes I'm like, oh, not everything is emotional, it really is. The process is about processing what I'm thinking about, feeling what's going on around me. I think with paint specifically, there's a fluidity to it, like quite literally, as I'm mixing paint, I tend to mix oil paint to either be pretty thick or very viscous to move it around. And there's a kind of a flow that I get into with that. I mean, the process is kind of dependent on what I'm painting. Lately, I've been working in a lot more abstract. And then there's some other abstract it's a lot about adding and then removing. And this kind of idea of as you add and remove and add and remove and add and remove, there is still stuff that's built up. It's just about deciding what goes, which is kind of like life. My partner and I lost our home in Altadena, which was also my studio I worked out in my backyard in the fires. And that happened in January. And I was literally sitting on the porch of the place that we were staying, subletting, kind of what am I gonna do? How am I gonna paint? And I got an email from y'all, and to be able to have this space right now to actually create is just I could not be more grateful. Actually having a space, not just for my art, but that's mine for this period of time. I don't know what I would have done without it. And to be able to have a place to come to by myself and work through all this stuff. And a lot of what you see here is stuff that I collected from the fire. And we kept going up there and taking stuff and wondering, do we take this? Do we not? Do we salvage it? And as an artist, I can't help but be could I make something with this? Is this still valuable? I don't know. And it was all just kind of sitting in bags and full of dust and oh, I happen to get the studio with the sinks. So I've been able to kind of clean everything and work through it and decide what I want to do with it. And otherwise the stuff would all still be in boxes, or I might have thrown it away, because there were days where I'm why am I carrying all this around? Art Share, you guys providing the space is just thank you. In addition, the other two artists who are here, Brenda and Johnny, they've been so supportive. There's been a lot going on in LA, and just to be able to connect with them, talk about our art, they're just so supportive. We've got a little text thread going. Yeah, it's been really meaningful to be kind of carried through this period and work through my own stuff alongside other people who get art. The professional development here at Art Share, as y'all bring in people, it's useful in so many ways. One, just having other eyes on our work, and I think the way we've been doing it is kind of collaborative. So Johnny and Brenda come in, and we're all kind of looking at it together, and so we're able to learn from each other. But I think having somebody come in who has experience in the art world, but then also has their own kind of take on art that's not just this is my opinion, but I've thought deeply and studied deeply about these things, is really useful just to hear what they have to say. And then always when the people leave, we have this kind of oh, the little nugget that they leave. I think the last gal came in and she said, keep it personal, and all three of us are going through very personal things right now. And that's a really great thing to hear, because I've been in classes where the teachers are it's too personal, and you're well, what am I doing, So yeah, it's super helpful to have people come in. Before the fires, everything I've done in the last couple years has been primarily realism, a lot of kind of this cactus stuff, a lot of figuration, a lot of nature. And I think since the fire, I've gone a lot more abstract, and I was thinking about that earlier, just along with something like losing your house or losing a person, there's just an ultimate loss of control. And a lot of, I think, why I got into art as a kid was it's the way that you can control something, You start drawing horses for me, or Disney stuff. And it's very clear, it's I can do this, I can make this. And so I've always worked on realism in that way, but I think after the fires, there comes this kind of well, I don't have control of anything, and I'm walking and looking at my house and nothing is recognizable, and I'm finding these pieces, and do they go together? And I think that's kind of coming through in my art, in that it's not about what it is, it's more about the act of doing something and working with these materials and finding something in the material and kind of what comes out of it. This stuff you see behind me, I've been working in like a much more gestural way, and I think that's also like to speak to process, but like processing grief and like the ways it kind of like moves through your body. Like, I think that stuff gets worked out as I'm like pushing paint around and looking at something and focused on something else, but like there's stuff happening in the background, right? People keep reacting to it as if it's like spiritual, and like that's another component of grief, right? Like there's this kind of like ragey anger, like why did this happen? And then there's this like, I have to be at peace with this, and there's something much bigger going on here. But nobody has control over any of it, and it's fine. And then there's the actual like, what do I do with this stuff, which is more of the physicality and kind of like thinking about like the meaning of everything.